It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. As we enter a Wednesday. Gary, what's happening?
I can't get the song out of my head.
What's that?
Stupid girl. Stupid girl.
Garbage, right?
Garbage, yes.
Yeah.
Stupid girl. By the way, as we always try to do on the show, we try to raise the level of discourse.
That's right. We're not one side or the other. We hover like a god.
Yes. So that being the case, all Kamala Harris supporters have cooties.
That's right.
For God's sake. Like I went to sleep early.
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 o'clock, I was out.
Yeah.
I woke up at 9:30. I went, what the hell's going on? What is this? I'm like, the first thing I saw was never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to F things up.
Yeah.
One of our listeners said that's the first thing I saw when I woke up, and I went,
right.
Is this just generic, or is there a specific point? There was.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was the absolute specific point.
Look, but keep in mind, Biden thinks everybody's garbage. Except him and his son. But this is exactly like, remember, Obama, I don't know how many times, going after people who were his constituents or would-be constituents. The people of Pennsylvania just cling to their God and guns. He's trying to win Pennsylvania and says that out loud somewhere. You know,
but it worked. He won Pennsylvania.
He won Pennsylvania.
So once it works, they go, fine.
That didn't work. Something else worked, but it didn't hurt him.
Right.
It didn't hurt him to the effect that he lost.
Right. Yeah, but that's not how...
They waited until Trump came around.
But that's not how they take it. You may look at it...
Anything that doesn't hurt me helps me, is what you're saying.
Yes.
But this is the attitude. This is who they are. They don't care about you. No, they still get millions of votes. Do you want me to lower your gas prices? Yeah, well, then I'll raise them by putting a windfall profits tax on them. Yay. These are the people who decide, and there will be millions of them that we will learn between now and next Tuesday that will vote for this kind of mentality. They don't care who you are. The Flat Earth Society comment by Obama. You know, these people that sit around and watch Fox News. When he said that, he was already president. These were his constituents. They don't care anything about you.
Well, remember.
And by the way, the people clinging to God and guns, I'm sure, voted for somebody else.
Remember when Kamala, when she was out of the primary, before the primary even began, she blamed the racism of the Democratic Party, of the Democratic, and the primary voters hadn't happened. The first primary hadn't happened yet.
Right.
But she blamed racism, and we said at the point, Republicans don't vote in primaries. You're calling Democrats racist. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, they don't care.
And they'll do she'll do it again, this time if she loses.
But here's an extended cut of Biden yesterday. Here we go.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is just supporters.
There you go. And they tried to walk it back, saying, no, there was an apostrophe. That was hilarious. Even CNN didn't buy it. There's an apostrophe before the S.
Yeah.
So it meant just the comedian. And it was like,
right.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Right. Gosh, just stop it, please.
Yeah.
We all know that he said it. And then you had, at the same time this is going on, you had another Trump rally, and Puerto Rico's shadow U.S. Senator endorsed Trump.
Yeah.
At the Allentown. It was the Allentown,
right,
Pennsylvania rally. And we'll have some of her speech coming up because it was just, that was going on. Then she endorsed him, and then Biden comes out and says the garbage thing, and then everybody's trying to walk it back. And even CNN didn't buy it, going, well, it's hard when they're walking it back to believe it when you actually have it on tape.
Exactly.
It's like,
by the way, when he almost started to say the Puerto Rico where I'm from.
Yes,
yes.
He
wanted to do that.
Yep.
I'm actually from. That's where I'm from. I'm from Puerto Rico. No, you're not. I could be.
Here's CNN. Okay, here's CNN. Here we go.
And the White House is trying to say that what President Biden was saying, they're putting an apostrophe there in supporters, saying it's the singular. I guess referring to the comedian, that supporters comments. I mean, it's hard to really look at that when you can listen to it for yourself.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I can't wait till this election is over because this is not the stuff that I really like talking about. It's not my I'll put it this way. It's humorous to hear all this stuff, but it's not my favorite stuff to talk about. And I know it's not yours. We like talking about the issues and economics and things like that, and I can't wait till we get back to that. But politics and what's going on in the political realm and the name calling and how it might affect an election is something that's also necessary to talk about, even though at times when I woke up, I just went, oh, God. How can I start the show? They all love cooties. Okay.
I don't know. I like the moments where Biden almost claims to be Puerto Rican.
All right. I'm not saying I'm not saying that there aren't entertaining moments.
That's actually what I'm going to miss. Well, according to the polls, it looks like there are enough people that cling to their God and guns to get the job done this time in Pennsylvania and in other states. We know it's not the Democratic Party. Remember when they booed God? That was after they booed God, right? He said that? I think it was. Was it 2008?
No, because 2012 is when they booed God, I believe.
Was it 2012?
I believe it was 2012.
I was thinking, I thought it was 2008. Okay.
Well, they may have booed God multiple times.
Yeah, right.
That's one thing.
Why would we try and pare it down to only once?
Even if you're an atheist, the thing is, why take the gamble? Because the last thing you'd want to do is be before St. Peter, and it's like, you booed him.
Yeah.
I mean, you booed him. What do you, come on. You booed God. It's, but I did many good things, but you booed God.
Yeah. Wow. It's, and then Joe has to get in line for the whole bearing false witness thing. 4 trillion times. How many times is that going to go on?
Okay, let me see. Somebody sent us here on Twitter. So, are working class conservative kids now garbage pail kids?
Yeah. Yeah. It's there is no reinventing. What I do love too is those that are trying to give Kamala what she could do. If she would just. Have you guys looked at a calendar? Do you know how few days there are left? And they're acting like she can turn this thing around.
And we talked about that yesterday, that, whether, there's still time for her to turn this around, and she could do this. She could come out and say that she's been lying about Biden all the time. It's like, that was the Wall Street Journal op-ed piece. what the hell are you talking about?
What
Nobody's
are
going
you
to buy
talking
it.
about?
Or who was the other one who said because there were two stories yesterday that said, oh yeah, she can. There's still time. She can still do it. No, she can't.
No. They've already hit the iceberg. They're beyond the iceberg dead ahead moment.
Well, this one fits it. This was okay. Let me see. Lee McGowan, social media host and content creator, and this was on CNN last night. All right, here we go. All right.
I think it would be great if she could run on what Biden has done, because what Biden has done is actually tremendous. And I think it is absolutely bananas that she has to even think of distancing herself from the Jobs and Infrastructure Act, from the CHIPS Act, from the PACT Act. We haven't done infrastructure. Why are you laughing?
Please keep talking about the CHIPS Act. If you look at the polling on the issues, Joe Biden is 60% disapproved on every single major issue.
And Scott Jennings is sitting there, just the biggest smile. That wasn't Scott Jennings. I don't know who that was, but Scott Jennings is in the background. Just they pan the camera to him. He's just smiling. This is what's going to happen, because that's what the left really thinks.
Yeah,
the left has said all the time, why the hell is she reversing?
Right.
Why the hell is she saying that she doesn't agree with Joe Biden on this?
They think they're winning on it.
What in the heck? And now you're starting to see what? The closing argument? Liz and Dick Cheney for Kamala Harris?
Yeah.
And so you're seeing this right now, and they're now coming out and say, where were they? Where were they in July? Where were they in August? They all agreed with the policy because they went and get her elected. Right? If she reverses all of her policies, she can get elected. And so now you've got the far left just freaking out. Wait a minute. I can't see why she just didn't agree with everything that Biden did. And then, as I said, because the polling sucks. I don't care about polling. Did you hear her say? I don't care about polling.
Yeah. I don't care what the numbers say. I don't care what the election results are. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, just, bury your head in the sand.
And then you can tell how angry she is. They're all laughing. Well, because the polling. I don't care about the polling.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it really is. This has been the year of off the charts insanity. I don't know. It's going to go one of two ways. Either it calms completely down, which I don't expect, or it's going to get even crazier. That's what I actually expect. I expect the liberal left to do exactly what you just heard here. Deny reality, which they always do, and they'll come back and blame her for not getting the message across, not owning liberalism. Modern liberalism, the American people see, the majority of the American people see on the issues, they are against. You see it, poll after poll. Yet they think they can win elections. They think they can win broad elections. Hey, they can win the governorship of California and New York.
Well, we'll see next week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have more audio cuts coming up. Also on the way, you see the two whistleblowers, FBI whistleblowers. I mean, this is stuff we already knew.
Right.
I mean, we figured it out. I mean, the FBI isn't completely and totally incompetent. They were just corrupt. Right. It was Shapley and Ziegler with Catherine Herridge now came out and said, look, when they knew the laptop, as soon as they got the laptop, they knew it was Hunter's. Mm-hmm. So they knew it almost 10 months before they knew it. And there was no basis. The FBI said nothing when the 51 intelligence agents came out and said, oh, no, it's Russia disinformation. They knew for 10 months. They knew.
Yeah.
They knew. Without question. We'll get to that story coming up here in just a little bit, plus the reaction to the garbage, the garbage comment. Oh, my gosh. I just, like I said, I was sleeping and woke up and missed. When I went to sleep, there was no garbage talk. When I woke up, it was all garbage talk. So will the Democrats be able to recycle this garbage?
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
Yeah.
It's all your fault. I thought about this earlier when I was driving in.
Yeah.
Because you're the one that really implied garbage a long time ago when you came out with the phrase heaping steaming pile.
Right.
Now, that's even worse than garbage
Actually,
because I don't know if that was...
Actually, it wasn't garbage I was talking about. I said garbage so I wouldn't get fired. We all know what I was talking about.
We've got a great show ahead. 866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. As the seasons change, so does truck maintenance. Cold weather can affect everything from your batteries and air brake system to tire inflation and fuel lines. Here's a maintenance tip to help make sure your rig is ready when winter comes knocking. When temperatures fall, the paraffin wax in diesel fuel can thicken so much it clogs fuel filters or solidifies to the point where it will no longer flow. Invest in a new fuel filter now and consider adding a winter fuel additive to your maintenance routine to help prevent fuel gelling. To learn more about winterizing your truck, find a professional technician today and ask about their fuel additives and fuel filters.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. There's just so much going on. I love this one. A Democrat attack ad attacks a GOP House incumbent because he voted to impeach the former president. We thought we'd seen everything in politics, but you really can't top the spectacle of Democrats attacking California Representative David Veladaro for, get this, voting to impeach Donald Trump. The Democrat ad is going after a California Republican.
Yeah.
Democrats are more worried about Mr. Trump having coattails than they are that he'll destroy democracy.
Well, it shows you where they all know the internals are, and they all know where the internals are. But it shows you where they are.
Well, we knew it when you had the four incumbent senators, start using Trump in their ads as a positive and using his name.
Stood with Donald Trump. Stood with Donald Trump. I mean, say that out loud after all of this. You mean the convicted felon? You mean that guy? You mean the guy that's a Russian agent? The same Donald Trump? Are we talking about a different Donald Trump? That's where we are, because they're finally admitting they were lying this whole time. They voted for impeachment, but they stood with Donald Trump. Yeah, but you voted to impeach him. Yeah, but we also stood with him.
We want it both ways. Why can't we have it both ways?
That's desperation.
We want it both ways.
It's William H. Macy all over again. So let me ask you, did you vote to impeach Donald Trump? Oh, yeah, I voted to impeach. And did you also stand with him on this bill? Oh, yeah, definitely stood with him on the bill. Yeah, definitely. This is the William H. Macy election year. That scene from Fargo is playing in my mind over and over again, him being grilled by the sheriff there at the car dealership. That's exactly what the Democrats are doing over and over.
Coming up, another major publication endorses Kamala Harris, the Babylon Bee. We'll have that coming up.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Friday Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right. I wish I could show everybody the video right now, but we'll play the audio. Listen, Marco Rubio got up there at the rally last night in Pennsylvania, in Allentown, and Trump was there, and it's when he announced that Biden called supporters
Garbage.
Garbage. For some reason, I keep having stupid is in my mind from the Garbage song, Stupid Girl. I can't get that out of my mind. It wasn't stupid. It's garbage. And as he's saying it, Trump is standing off to the side, and the look on his face, he's just shaking his head like, that's not good. That's not good. What mafia movie? Okay. All right. I had it. Was it? What was the one with Henry Hill?
Goodfellas.
Yeah, it was in Goodfellas where somebody's going, nope, not good, not good. Was it that one? No, it was another movie where the mob boss is sitting there going, not good, not good. I'm not going to rub a mob boss. It was the same look on his face like, can't believe you did that. Not good, not good. Just so dang funny. But here it is. Here is the moment.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage. Are garbage. He's talking about the Border Patrol. He's talking about nurses. He's talking about teachers. He's talking about everyday Americans who love their country and want to dream big again and support you, Mr. President. And I hope their campaign is about to apologize for what Joe Biden just said. We are not garbage. We are patriots who love America. And thank you for running, Mr. President.
Wow. That's terrible. That's what it says. That's what it says. So you have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable, and then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable, that didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know, you have to please forgive him. Please forgive him. For he not knoweth what he said.
Sorry, Fox News. They had the headline, in a show of unity. That was a show of mocking, and it was deserved. That was great. I love that. Oh, my gosh, that was great. Yeah. Does that sound like somebody who's worried about the internals? Nope. Wow. I love it. I love it. And here's the headline from Fox News. Trump calls for supporters to forgive Biden in show of unity. Did you guys even pay attention to what he said? He was mocking Biden because Biden deserved to be mocked.
Oh, my God.
Stop this show of unity. That's garbage right there. I almost said the other word.
Well, so much for the Harris campaign last weekend. No. Biden's not going to be a part of the campaign anymore. To hell I'm not. This goes back to what we've been talking about, that the surrogates for Trump are absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, and when you look at them, I mean, the big three, I mean, Elon Musk and Vance, of course. I mean, he's his vice president, but he's also just a tremendous surrogate. And then, all right, who am I leaving out? I always leave out somebody. Elon Musk. J.D. Vance. Ramaswamy. And then, I mean, they're still out there, but those are the big three. But then you also have Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr.
Right.
out there,
Right.
doing it. But for the most part, they're right on. They're right. And so the surrogates for Harris have been Biden, Clinton, and Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
When you look at it, those are the big three surrogates that people are paying attention to.
Right.
The one thing I've seen is I haven't seen Clinton in a couple of days. Has Clinton been out there? Is he at any rallies?
No, I think he's in meetings with Carrie Lake. I could be wrong about that.
I mean, he's been a disaster. Biden has been an absolute disaster.
They catch him outside the Carrie Lake campaign headquarters in Arizona with binoculars.
And Mark Cuban, now remember, everything is relative. Mark Cuban, the most coherent of the three.
Actually, that's true.
His biggest point is, look, all these things she's going to do, she's not going to do.
Yeah.
Because if she was going to do those things that she said she was going to do, then I wouldn't vote for her.
Right.
That's Mark Cuban. I mean, that's his, to me, that's what I get out as number one reason for voting for Harris.
Yeah.
Is she's not going to do any of the things that she told you she's going to do.
Right. Yeah.
And she's going to be completely different from the Biden administration.
Right.
Well, but she's walking back everything. It's like, that's how bad it is. But my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, oh, with surrogates like them, who needs surrogates?
Really? Seriously. I mean, look, we already know Biden has actually worn a Trump hat. And he did it voluntarily. He put it on his own head.
Let's play it one more time.
All right.
We're going to play it one more time.
All right, here we go.
All right, here we go. We're going to play an audio cut here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got it.
No, it doesn't.
All right.
Yeah. We're playing an audio cut. Thanks. Okay, here we go.
That's what it says. So you have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable, and then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable, that didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know, you have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
I just love that.
I love that. A show of unity.
And when he puts his hands in the air like he's proclaiming,
exactly.
like, please forgive
Well,
him.
look, if she can talk like a pastor, then he can talk like a pastor. I love it. Oh, my gosh.
Oh.
I don't, with all of the audio we played, the one yesterday that we played with the different accents that she was using.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite because it shows you how fake she is. We've seen it before. We've seen it with every Democrat nominee along the way. At some point, they're changing how they're talking. I mean, I can't imagine if I went out to West Texas, if I were running for president, I go out to West Texas. Listen, I want to talk to you guys about some fishing things. I'm serious. I don't know. I caught a largemouth bass the other day. This thing must be 10 pounds. I decided to let it go. Of course, I didn't take a picture of it. I can't imagine how in the world you would think in your mind that that's going to work. It's weird. It's absolutely bizarre to me.
And you and I've asked that point. Is this? I mean, do they workshop this? Does she sit in a meeting and they say, "Okay, let's hear your different accent. You're speaking to this group of people that are of this ethnicity. Let's see if we can get you down on the accent here."
Well, because what does it tell you? It tells you that what you're saying isn't enough. What you're saying isn't going to make the point. The content of your message isn't going to do it. So you have to talk like somebody else. That's just weird to me. That's just bizarre to me.
But when it becomes part of what you of your campaign strategy, that's the thing that I find incredible. If you haven't heard it, here it is. Okay, you ready?
All right,
here it is. Here's the different accents here. We played this yesterday.
Thank unions every day for the 5-day work week.
That's normal.
For the weekend. For paid leave if you've got it. We still got work to do. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. Let's just get through the next 64 days. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. I love you back. Have you no empathy, man? You know, for the suffering of other people. Have you no sense of purpose? Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
Trump is definitely a better pastor. And I haven't heard a bad Jamaican accent like that since Brad Pitt and Meet Joe Black.
But my God, it's part of, because this comes from Hillary.
Yeah.
I really think she's like, Hillary, it didn't work for Hillary. Let me try it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hillary did the exact same thing. And it's just like, wow. I mean, seriously, it's so insulting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. You know, doing accents, doing dialects, it's something that's always interested me. But I've never thought to myself, you know, I'm going to get better service ordering this chicken fried steak if I just West Texas this thing up. Hey, can I get that big old chicken fried steak? Put some extra gravy on that. I don't need any of those green beans or anything green, darling. Thank you, and some more sweet tea. I appreciate that. I've never thought for a moment, you know, that, because here's the thing too. What are you thinking that the people in your audience are listening to you, you know, the people you're talking to can't understand you otherwise? That they won't get it unless you say it like that. It tells me that the content of your message is not there. That it's not going to resonate. So you try to sound different to try and make some kind of connection. That's bizarre to me. That is bizarre to me. You know, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. But it is exactly what you should expect from an entire group of people, Democrats, who think they've got to, you know, that they have to, lie. They think you're stupid. You know, I didn't know Kamala talked like that. Had I known she was a pastor, man, I would have supported her a long time ago.
Well, hope she is invited to speak before the Austin Powers fan club.
Oh, that would be great. Let's hear that.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. The FBI whistleblowers and what they had to say, Catherine Herridge and her latest report here. look, it's stuff that we already knew, but now it's verified. Now it's verified by whistleblowers in the FBI. So we'll get to that. And you saw, too, that Comey was, looking at way before everything else happened.
Yeah.
The FBI was looking at Trump already.
Right.
Way before that. So we'll get to that coming up, all from her report, which is, again, why I saw Tulsi Gabbard out there yesterday. See if I can find the audio cut. And she was saying that, look, myself and RFK Jr., we've already had the conversation with Trump. We don't agree with him on everything.
Right.
And we, many people believe that, but it's bigger than that. This is about the weaponization of government.
Yep.
That's why I'm voting for Trump. That's the number one reason by far.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Okay, where am I? Wednesday. Okay.
All right.
So here we are. 6 days.
Yep.
6 days to go. Mainstream media is talking about this great speech by Kamala Harris, how she promoted unity. You ready?
All right.
All right, here we go. She promoted unity.
Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him.
There you go.
Yeah.
Unity.
No, yeah.
Unity. Actually, when we've talked about it before, and you cannot debate this, no Democrat can debate this. The actual unity candidate, without question, cannot be debated, is Trump.
Yeah, when we're talking, bringing the two different sides together,
Yep.
I think her concern when it comes to unity is unifying her own party behind her.
Yes. Because the unifying candidate, obviously, is Trump.
Yes.
Trump has unified the nation around certain ideas. That's why Kamala Harris, on all the major points that she disagreed with, flip-flopped when she first, started running, when she was appointed.
Right.
That's why she said that she will build a bigger wall. She'll actually get the wall done. Trump didn't get the wall done.
Right.
That's why she said she wouldn't ban fracking.
Yeah.
That's why all the insane ideas that Democrats hold, the major ones, she flip-flopped on and then flip-flopped back again.
Yes.
But the reason she did that was because she realized that Donald Trump has unified the nation on the ideas and issues that he believes in. That's why you have. Think about this. You want to know how unifying Trump is? Trump is so unifying that four incumbent Democrat senators running for office have used Donald Trump. They've used the opposition candidate and their agreement with him in their political ads.
Yes.
Donald Trump is, by the way, you should use this, Trump. Anybody listening to the campaign, you should use that. I'm the unifying candidate. Look at the polls and where I stand. Kamala flip-flopped on all these issues. We know she doesn't believe them, but she used it because she knows I unified the nation around these issues that we all believe in, that promote freedom, individual liberty, and a much more prosperous nation. That's why we know she doesn't believe it, but she said she did because she knows I've unified the nation.
Right.
Oh, my God. And then I want to see the CNN roundtable on that after he says that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
Look, we've called him. It's very clear. We've called him the great unifier. She can't unify her own party, her own side to support her. She's never been able to do that. Tell me one time in history on the national scale when she's been able to do that. Outside of California, she can't bring people together. This is the blue bubble problem that she has that, of course, we said other Democrats have, including Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California. Step outside and onto the big stage and see where it gets you. And, yeah, she's not the unifier. Not by any stretch of the imagination. But Trump is, we can in fact, again, we have to bring it up. This is twice in one show. We know it's kind of old news. It happened weeks ago, but Biden put on a Trump hat. I don't know of any unifier that's ever, when's the last time that's happened?
Never.
When a Democrat put on the opponent's campaign hat.
Never.
I don't ever remember it happening. I don't ever remember that happening.
I want to play this audio cut from Scott Jennings last night on CNN because this is just like, wow. It's just they don't like this. But here, this is on not just the garbage comment, but the fact of when Biden did that.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Yeah. Let me just accept the most charitable framing of this, which you just gave. Why is he sitting in front of a laptop at the exact same moment Kamala Harris is out on his backyard trying to give the closing argument to her campaign? What in the world is he doing? Now, I don't accept your framing of it personally because I actually do believe he, Harris, the Democratic Party, and most of their campaign do believe that half the country is garbage. They've also said people who go to Trump rallies are Nazis. And so it's pretty apparent the disdain with which they hold half of the country in.
It's not true.
Yeah.
Former CNN political commentator Chris Cillizza said that President Joe Biden's comments branding supporters of Donald Trump garbage is an absolute nightmare for the presidential campaign of Vice President Kamala Harris. Ready for this one?
Okay.
Biden's verbal gaffe, and then in parentheses, if that's what it was, end of quote, or and parentheses, again, it's in parentheses, is an absolute nightmare for the Harris campaign. This is getting more attention than Harris's closing argument speech. Well, that's what it was intended to do.
Yeah. Come
on, it's obvious.
Right.
Biden wants her to lose.
Right.
Come on. Let's stop. Let's start beating around the bush. Biden wants Harris to lose.
Look, this is why I think from the beginning, actually, I think it was, let's make her the nominee. Let's do everything. I think that's why in his letter, or whoever wrote it for him, he put it very clearly that he was endorsing Kamala Harris. And I don't think that was the plan. I don't think that was the plan at all. I think he was trying to basically throw his own party under the bus and force everybody else to jump on board. Great, I'm going to endorse her and dare you not to. So there's either a major rift that you have to Band-Aid up between now and Election Day, or you all jump on board and endorse her, and I know you don't really want to do that. No one will ever convince me otherwise. That's how it went down. I don't care what you do. You won't convince me that it went any other way than what I just said. Because that's who Joe Biden is. He's defiant, and by gosh, he's going to come back and he's going to get, he doesn't care about his party. He doesn't care about anything but Joe Biden. He doesn't care about the people of America. He clearly doesn't care about the people of America. The United States is not even a secondary thought for him. It's not a concern at all. Why would he care about his own party? He cares about him. His entire move, his entire career has been about making himself famous and rich.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't a coincidence that all these things have happened.
Right.
At key points.
Right.
Key points of the campaign.
Right.
When he came out and said, no, we agree on
Yeah.
we agree on everything.
Well,
I mean, all that. In fact, that was the first time he had ever walked out on a Karine Jean-Pierre.
That's what I was
press
about
conference.
to say.
The whole.
Yeah. He's never done that, ever. Right. And all of a sudden, he comes out and commandeers the mic.
Right.
In order to say what? That was his only point he wanted to get across to the press. And then he can get away with it because all he has to do is say, oh, no, I was just campaigning for her. I want her to do great. Things are going great. And she's going to say things are going great. And now she has to say that we agreed on everything, because if she says we didn't agree on these things, then it's going to be a major rift that there isn't a Band-Aid big enough for. I'm telling you, it really is a Joe Biden-esque execution of a plan. There's no other way it was going to go. You think you're going to call Joe Biden as a sitting president, Nancy, and convince him to step down and he's not coming back at you? Oh, hell no.
His family, was furious too.
Yes.
And we all know he was. Look, we all know he was forced out.
Right.
We all know it. Well, how do we know it? Because liberal media let us know.
Right. Everything's off the table. Right. Everything is off the table, including, by the way, he kept saying, oh, "I'm not going to pardon Hunter. I'm not going to pardon Hunter. I'm not going to pardon Hunter." Yeah, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. Nothing's off the table. Nothing is still on the table as it was before he had to step down. I mean, he's going to light the place on fire. And his party's going to pay for this. And then if she loses, it will be the I told you so, I could have won tour until the end. He will not give that up. I could have won. I won the first time. I was going to win again. I was winning in the polls. I was doing better. Blah, 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 blah. I had one moment that I was exhausted at a debate, a few minutes that didn't go well, and she's had a series of, and of course that wasn't the truth. It was actually the culmination of everything that had been going on with him and his cognitive issues. But that's how he'll phrase it. And by the way, the media helped him do that. The media is helping him build all of this out because they're the ones that kept saying, well, there's nothing wrong with him. They said it. Kamala said it. All the people on the left were saying there's nothing wrong with him until that debate performance. So he'll be able to get away with saying, well, it was just one momentary lapse that I had at a debate. But other than that, I would have won. This is who Joe Biden is. He can play both sides all day long. And if she wins, she won because of my record, because of the things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
He's got it sewed up. It's all sewn up. And he doesn't have to worry about a thing now. He doesn't have to worry about a thing. He has less than 3 months. Less than 3 months to worry as president. As a nation, that means we have well over 2 months for him to still serve as commander-in-chief. And yeah, that scares the hell out of me. He doesn't care about anything. His legacy is going to be, if she loses, his legacy is going to be, I could have won. If she wins, his legacy is going to be, she wouldn't have won without me.
Yeah. I would say that it was pretty stupid what Biden did. But it was perfect Biden campaign-wise. But it was done. It is not a coincidence that he made it as she was getting ready to do her speech on unity.
Right.
They knew in advance that's what it was about. And I think it's not just Biden. I think it's the Biden family. I think it's the Biden staff. They're furious about this.
Yep.
They believe that she's going to – they know the internals in the White House.
Yep.
They believe she's going to lose, and they're piling on anything that they can do because Biden and the White House want Harris to lose.
Yep. Yeah.
Why? Because they forced him out.
He's livid.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
The IFTA tax program redistributes tax revenue to states based on your actual miles run. Thus, the truly cheapest fuel can only be found if you subtract federal and state taxes and state surcharges from the pump price to compare. The strategy means that you buy without regard for whether you are paying more at the pump in taxes. IFTA also considers state surcharges, which complicates the fuel buying strategy. Indiana, Kentucky, and Virginia have per-gallon surcharges. Connecticut, Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon have per-mile surcharges. While some owner-operators buy only enough fuel to get through surcharge states, this practice can backfire, depending on the actual cost of the fuel in each state. When comparing fuel prices, always remember, pump pride minus taxes equals the real fuel cost. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I want to play this audio cut. Now, we had played the part of it where Scott Jennings started. I want to play what happened before that on CNN.
Okay.
And the whole garbage remark, because they were just finishing up with Bakari Sellers, who is as radical left as you can get. And then they start talking to Franklin Leonard, who's the CEO of the Blacklist. He's also as liberal as you can get. But here's how it all started. This is great. Listen to this.
Say though, Bakari, he was in his house, the White House. He was in his house doing this, and the reporting is that there are places that he can be useful, but he's not everywhere like you might expect a sitting president to be for his vice president.
I don't know that I would expect this president to be everywhere in this moment. I mean, look, a critical element, any coach will tell you, any CEO will tell you, a critical element of running a team and winning is assessing the strengths and weaknesses of your team members and making sure you allocate them in the right way. Joe Biden has never been a big arena speaker. He's never been the most fluid speaker. And by the way, as someone who had a stutter growing up, it's very obvious to me that there's an apostrophe at the end of supporters there. He was referring to the garbage spewed by supporters, not simply the supporters themselves. But Joe Biden has been on the campaign trail. He's best getting ice cream in Maryland like he was today. He's best showing moments of empathy in Arizona like he was last week. He's best with union folks as he was in Pittsburgh last week as well. You use people where they are best. You put Obama in a big arena, you put Michelle in a big arena, and you put Joe Biden in front of a bunch of union people doing retail politics.
You could make the argument that they would be fine if Joe Biden wasn't anywhere near a microphone between now and next Tuesday.
Let me just accept the most charitable framing of this, which you just gave.
Yeah.
Why is he sitting in front of a laptop at the exact same moment Kamala Harris is out on his backyard trying to give the closing argument to her campaign? What in the world is he doing? Now, I don't accept your framing of it personally because I actually do believe he, Harris, the Democratic Party, and most of their campaign do believe that half the country is garbage. They've also said people who go to Trump rallies are Nazis. And so it's pretty apparent the disdain with which they hold half of the country in.
That's not true.
Well, but I guess the question is, and we'll expand on this, Can you be a Nazi and a fascist without being garbage? That is the critical thing that we need to discuss and tear apart.
Right.
Is garbage worse than a Nazi fascist? Is it different? Can you be one or the other or both?
Are there good people on both sides? Let's have the discussion.
The show that never stops. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. The political problem for Harris at this point is the media is completely and totally obsessed with this. Now.
Yeah, right.
The whole garbage comment, and that Biden came out with, and it's interesting because I expect Mark Cuban to say, "Well, Biden isn't running." Well, neither is the comedian.
Right.
Neither. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place here. But the fact is, now the question is, because they've now it's the excuse is, well, there was an apostrophe. Well, now you've just continued the controversy. Remember, all we have is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
And this thing's, as James Carville said, basically it's over at that point.
It's over.
At that point. And so the rest of this time now, any place that she or any of her surrogates are at, the question's going to be asked, do you agree with Biden that Trump supporters are garbage? Now, the interesting thing is when you heard Scott Jennings in the last audio cut that we played on CNN, and he said, no, I believe that that's what Joe Biden believes. That's what Kamala Harris believes. That's what most Democrats believe, is that the other side is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And they all started screaming, no. Well, what they're trying to sell, because you got to break down the argument here. And I don't mean the argument that we were bringing up and kidding about before, but there is some substance to it. As we know, the closing argument for her is they're Nazis, fascist, that Trump is a Nazi, a fascist, and January 6th. Now, the interesting thing is that's her closing argument, by the way, is January 6th. Not the economy, not anything. Right. It's that Trump is a fascist, January 6th. Now, we did warn you that was going to be the case back on January 7th of 2021.
Yep.
We told you that would be their main argument, would be January 6th, and that's what it's been. That's what it was. That's why they had it where she had it.
Right.
Because the closing argument was January 6th. But the whole thing is, as we have seen, the Nazi and fascist that has been around, a week and a half?
Yeah.
It's been a week and a half? Yeah, a week and a half.
Yeah.
And they've just doubled down on it. What they're trying to tell you is, and this is interesting, you can't sell this, that Trump is a Nazi. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi. That was a Nazi rally.
Yeah, right.
But anybody who goes to a Nazi rally is not a Nazi or garbage.
Right.
Only the person only Trump is the Nazi, and everybody else there or anybody who supports a Nazi is not a Nazi, and they're also not garbage.
Right.
You can't sell that. Stop it.
Find people on both sides.
Right, because we know that if Trump truly was a Nazi, and everybody thought he was a Nazi, that, everybody going to the Nazi rally, except George Costanza and Jerry Seinfeld, are a Nazi.
Yeah, exactly.
If you remember that episode. Remember the limousine episode?
Yeah.
And so you can't do it, but they know, this is the thing. They had no problem. Trump's a Nazi, which implies everybody else is a Nazi.
Right.
Well, Biden calls them garbage, and they all go crazy. No, you can't relate garbage to Nazism at all. No.
Right.
No. What are you doing? How can you possibly say that? Well, because my logic is, if you actually believe Trump is a Nazi and held a Nazi rally, and you continually have said he's a Nazi and a fascist, then you would have to assume that the people that support him are Nazis and fascists.
Right.
God, it's just, wow.
Yeah.
But the problem that they have is that's all the discussion's going to be for the next couple of days.
Right.
That's all it's going to be. You can't, and it's dominated. It destroyed her closing argument that wasn't going anywhere anyway.
Right.
Her closing argument. But it took the complete opposite and took the focus of the mainstream media on what Biden said. And as we said, you can expand it even, further, because Scott Jennings is asking the question, and we know that Democrats don't want to ask the question, but it's a totally legitimate question that we don't question it. We make the statement that no, Biden wants her to lose. Why in the hell, when she's getting ready to make, this is if you're a Democrat, you're asking yourself, why in the hell, when she's trying to make the closing argument that, of course, Democrats agree that he's a Nazi and fascist and going to use the military to round up everybody he doesn't like, why would Biden be sitting in front of a laptop right behind her
Exactly.
saying that, the Trump supporters are all garbage? Why would he do that? And you know what the answer is if you're a Democrat. He's only doing that for one reason, to destroy her campaign in the last couple of days and make it so anything that she says, because they can't answer the question, it means is she going to do an interview now? Is she going to do it? Because that's going to be the major question that she's going to be asked over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, and again, you have to look at the series of events here. You have to look at every move by Biden. This was just like him walking out into the press room and taking over that day. It's painfully obvious. He's at every turn sabotaging her campaign. This is who Joe Biden is, Nancy. You didn't see that. That's your problem. You thought you were going to take him out? No, you're not. He's still the president. You guys might have been better going the whole 25th Amendment route. That would have been less messy. Because now you've got a guy who's a sitting president, and he's bitter. And he's not just bitter. He's Joe Biden bitter. And that's your problem. You didn't see that coming? Did you not know? I guarantee you he was all smiles and winks on that phone call with Nancy. Oh, sure. Okay, well, if you say so, Nancy. Click. Let's just see about that. And that's why he started. Day one, he went against his party's wishes, and he endorsed her. They didn't want an endorsement in that letter. They didn't want that. The reason is because they didn't want her. The reason is because they don't believe she can win.
When we played right before the bottom of the hour, Scott Jennings and the CNN panel, and they were all talking about, well, he doesn't really do this stuff well. What are they talking about? The liberal media has already reported last week they don't want him out there.
Right, exactly.
He's a negative. He hurts them.
Right.
And they're wondering, does he hurt them? And, well, he's not the greatest speaker. It's already out there. The liberal media has reported it. Right. They don't want Biden out there.
Right.
Well, that means he's going to be out there, and he's going to be out there at the most inopportune times, as he was last night, which just destroyed the rest of the campaign, because now there's nothing they're going to talk about, and trying to back off on it and say, well, there was an apostrophe here. Look, CNN even said it. Well, look, you can hear it, what he said. coming out with the transcript means nothing. By the way, they're very quick to release that transcript, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can't tell. Well, the apostrophe's there.
That's
like,
whoever wrote the transcript,
right? But here's this Josh Shapiro on CNN also talking about it.
Governor, first off, just what's your response to that comment from President Biden, where it sounds like he's calling Trump supporters there garbage?
Yeah, look, I had not heard that until now, Caitlin, so I'm kind of giving you my fresh reaction to it. I would never insult the good people of Pennsylvania or any Americans, even if they chose to support a candidate that I didn't support.
By the way, he knew.
Yeah.
He knew. That was all over the place. He knew.
Yep.
He's played, but you play the ignorance game. I didn't know about it until now.
Yep.
He knew about it. He doesn't know how else to answer it except that. That's the problem. Every question is going to be that. How do you answer the question? You're going to say, well, no, there was an apostrophe there. And as she had said earlier, she goes, well, no, obviously, here it is. You can say whatever you want, whatever excuse. I want to go to Victor Davis Hansen was on Hannity last night, and he makes the point that rallies are people. That if you're calling it a Nazi rally, then they're Nazis. Well,
right.
They're Nazis, but they're not garbage. What? Here we go.
Well, that's exactly what they mean when they talk about rallies, because rallies are people, and that's what they're calling Nazis. But this wasn't a mediocre comedian that went off script and gave a poor joke that was kind of repulsive that Trump disowned, didn't know who he was. This wasn't a third party. This was Joe Biden himself, the former Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris's boss, and the President of the United States. And this came out the same day when she was telling the nation that she's a unity candidate and she's not going to be divisive. And this comes from Joe Biden, as was pointed out, who had used the term chumps. And if you remember, he went to Pennsylvania in 2020, Sean, and he called the people of Pennsylvania that supported Trump chumps. He called them another time on another occasion dregs. And this follows Pennsylvania voters who were also called clingers by Barack Obama. So there's a pattern here of looking down at the middle class. And, it's very ironic because we're seeing the same iteration this campaign. We got the same actors. We got Biden, who's used the term chumps and dregs. Now he goes to garbage. We've had Hillary. She's used deplorables and irredeemables. Now she's talking about Nazis and fascists. And then we have the Obamas who have used the term clingers. Now they're back again, and they're talking down to African-American men as if they have false consciousness and they're not able to formulate their own independent thoughts. So there's a pattern here of this elite left who talks down and denigrates people of the working class. And they should ask Kamala Harris tonight, what is your relationship with that comment? That's your president, that's your boss, you disown it, you said you were a unifying candidate. What are you going to do about that?
Unifying candidate. Good God. Stop it.
And look at the layout. Look at if you put this all on the chart. What was she supposed to be doing? A unity speech. He comes out, sets that on fire. I suspect, and I've said this before, I suspect that on the day that he walked out to the press briefing room and took over the microphone, that she was going to come out either in an interview or somewhere and start to make some points separating the two, that she was going to take, I have a new approach that I would do differently than what we are currently doing. I suspect that was going to be the case, and Biden got wind of it, and he jumped on that microphone. It's like he ran down the hall. And then his only point, the only point he made in that room that day was that we're twins. We're joined at the hip.
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect he got wind that she was going to start separating herself, putting some distance between her and Biden on some key moves, and he got wind of that and ran down the hall to take the microphone and say, she's practically the president now.
because he didn't just say she agreed with me.
No.
She was integral in coming to all the decisions that I made.
Exactly. And when have you heard Biden give credit to anybody else?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, he said it before. When I was born, yeah, my mom did a little bit of the work, but I did most of it.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up, the latest from FBI whistle blowers. Oh, Vance now to sit down with Joe Rogan today, I guess.
Yeah.
And that means a full 3 hours. Still negotiating with the Harris campaign, who said they wanted Rogan to come to him and only an hour.
Yeah. Which is about 59 minutes too long for her. That's 59 minutes of great risk.
Rogan said, look, I used to be a Bernie Sanders supporter. That's way too long for her.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Rogan didn't say that. But he was a Bernie Sanders supporter.
If you're going to do his podcast, it's going to be the full podcast.
Yeah.
He doesn't do a 1 hour podcast.
And he said, I'm not going anywhere. The best place for me to do it is right here.
Yep. Yeah.
She's not going to do it.
No, she's building out the conditions that he's not going to meet, and we all know that.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. All right, taking a look at the latest polling out there. On a national level, Trump up another 0.2 of a point in a day. Now 0.4 percent on the national. This is a national, the national vote, not a state vote.
Okay.
And to make the comparison, in 2016, at this point, on this date, in 2016, Clinton was up by 4.6 on the national polling. Biden was up 7.4 in 2020. Trump up 0.4%. Wisconsin now. Clinton was up 6.5 in 2016. Biden was up 6.7% in 2020. Trump up 0.6%. Pennsylvania. Clinton on this day in 2016 was up by 5. Biden 4.3. In Pennsylvania, Trump up 0.6. In Ohio, back in 2016, Trump was up by 1.2 points. In 2020, it was a tie. Now, Trump up 6.9 points. Michigan, Clinton was up 7. Biden was up 8.2. Harris up 0.5. Right now, Arizona, it was Clinton up 1.5 points in 2016. It was a tie in 2020, the polling that is, and Trump up 2.2%. Nevada, Clinton up 1.7 percent in 2016 on this date. Biden up 4 points. Trump up 0.5%. I think one of the things that was interesting, but did you see the Hispanic vote?
Yeah.
In Nevada?
Yeah.
If that's true, if that's accurate, Trump is up by more than 0.5 because it showed back in 2020 Biden was up 26 points with the Hispanic vote in Nevada. Right now, he's up 1. It's a 25-point difference.
Yeah.
But Trump up 0.5% right now in Nevada. In North Carolina, Clinton was up 3 back in 2016. Biden was up 0.6 of 0.6% in 2020. Trump up 1%. Georgia, Trump was up 2.5% in 2016. Biden 0.4% in 2020. Trump up 2.4% now. And in Florida, Clinton 0.6%, Biden 1.6%. Yeah, Clinton actually in 2016 was leading in Florida by 0.6% at this point. Biden 1.6%, Trump 8.5%. So, huge movement at that point. Just to keep you updated, let me see anything of significance. I'm going to look at the most accurate polling. Wisconsin, Atlas Intel, one of the most accurate pollsters, 49-49 in Wisconsin. Michigan, Atlas Intel, Trump +1. Emerson, Trump +1 in Michigan also. And then what really moved the needle yesterday was the Susquehanna poll, where Harris was up 52-47 and Harris was up +5. That's an outlier.
Yeah.
Nothing has been reading that. That is an outlier.
Right.
If you take the outlier on it, Trump's still in the lead. Pennsylvania, CBS News, Trump 49, Harris 49. Atlas Intel, one of the most accurate pollsters of 2020, Trump +3. Atlas Intel in Arizona came out yesterday, Trump +4. CNN's polling, Harris +1 in Arizona. Nevada, the CNN poll, Trump +1. Nevada, Trafalgar in Nevada, a tie, one of the most accurate pollsters of 2020. Atlas Intel, one of the most accurate pollsters of 2020, Trump +1. Georgia, Atlas Intel, again, one of the most accurate, Trump +3. Florida, Atlantic University poll, Trump 53, Harris 44, +9. Trafalgar Group in Ohio, Trump +6. Again, one of the most accurate pollsters. Minnesota, KSTP, Survey USA, Harris +8. I think Trafalgar had her up, +3? I say Trafalgar because we're looking at the most accurate pollsters also of 2020. National, you've got Atlas Intel, one of the most accurate, Trump +2 nationwide. So there you go. And then you have Morning Consult, Harris +3. Trump versus Harris, a tip poll, Harris +1. Reuters, Harris +1. Atlas Intel, the most accurate, Trump +2. One of the most accurate.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
Boy, a bunch of polls came out yesterday. I mean, just a ton of polling came out.
Well, it's, again, you see the direction, but you also see the behavior by the left. Quite often, and this is really one of the indicators for where they are on the internals. Whichever side you see in a more desperate, nervous mode is the one that knows, that sees their internals at this point, less than a week out. They see their internals and they're panicking. In 2016, it was October 30th before Hillary floated that story on the whole Russian collusion thing. Well, wow. Today's October 30th. And I said at the time, well, and I've said since, well, that's a horrible October surprise. You did it way too late. They did it because it was an act of desperation. I think they were going to do it anyway. I think there were a couple of things, a number of things working. You have to be able to claim the FBI actually has an investigation going. You have to know for sure that it's going on. And you have to tell the media that. The media has to be on your side. And that's exactly what happened. And maybe it took that long to get there. But also there's the desperate move of the internals shaping up not in your favor. And that was going on. And about this time, her internals were showing disaster. And it wasn't just a few days after this that she canceled the fireworks display.
What I would like to know, and it'd be interesting if a book or an article could be written on this, what is the difference? What does, and we'll take it from, we could take it from both sides, but let's take it from the Harris campaign, where clearly they're scrambling because all of a sudden, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, Harris is doing interviews.
Right.
Now, she won't do a long interview.
Right.
She'll do interviews that are extremely short, but that showed that they believe their internal polling.
Yeah.
And so I would love to know, and I would love to see this after an election. These are the kind of things that interest me. What is it in their polling that they see, and is their polling more accurate with Trafalgar, Atlas Intel, Rasmussen? You know, when you look at the most insider advantage, which are some of the most accurate pollsters out there, that all show that Trump is winning. The most
right.
Because I haven't seen Wick. There were top five. The top five pollsters were Wick, were Atlas Intel, Insider Advantage, Rasmussen, and Trafalgar. And I haven't seen any Wick poll anywhere. Have you?
No.
So the top four pollsters that polled in 2020 all show Trump winning. If it does if her polling is showing that Trump is winning, then what is the difference? What is the actual demographic makeup of Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and how do you figure that out in polling? How do you figure that out? And because you could sit there and look and you can say, all right, these were Trump's internal polls that show him winning, because that's what they're implying, right? Harris, we're getting that the polls internal show she's losing and Trump is winning. The top four pollsters of 2020 all show Trump is winning.
Yeah.
Others do not. What is the actual demographic difference? And does it show that, can you make an analogy that the demographic makeup of these polls is wrong, not based on what the top four pollsters from 2020 are saying, but based on what the Harris campaign believes in their internal polling and the Trump campaign, and how close are they all when it comes to the demographic makeup of who they polled? And that to me would be interesting, because that would solve a lot of questions right now that I'm sure neither campaign wants to be solved.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing the Harris campaign would do is, oh, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right, because our demographic makeup is just like the four top pollsters of 2020 and the Trump internal polling. Yeah, we're going to lose.
Yeah, right.
Not going to want that.
Right. Well, and you know, looking at the RCP list of basically the polls since the beginning of October in Pennsylvania, and there are only three where she leads, and in all three she leads inside the margin of error. Bloomberg, margin of error is 3, and she leads by 2. New York Times, Siena, margin of error is 4, and she leads by 3. And UMass Lowell, margin of error is 4, and she leads by 1. The Trump lead is outside the margin of error, and this is, again, polls in Pennsylvania for October, going back to the first one started October 2nd. And in the Trump's got the leads at or outside the margin of error in at least 3 polls. The point being is, we said this in 2016 about Pennsylvania, and he ended up winning Pennsylvania. This trend looks to me, again, like in, you know, the point was being argued again yesterday about underpolling, and, you know, well, no, it's actually, you know, the one CNN data analyst saying, well, no, it's actually historically it would be Kamala Harris now that is being underpolled, because you look at the pollsters and how they would react after underpolling Trump twice, or a party. He actually said party. He didn't say a particular candidate, but a party twice. They would correct for that this time. Sorry, that doesn't apply. It doesn't apply because of this particular candidate.
Well, we'll say that is a anything is a realm of possibility.
Well,
all right?
technically, historically, he is correct.
Right.
And he said over the last 52 years. But applying that in this case is something that I don't subscribe to.
Well, but I would look more at who was more accurate in 2020.
Right. It was Harry Enten, right, over at CNN.
Harry Enten at CNN said that yesterday. That, you look at it, and there's never been 3 times in a row that they've number one, we've never been in a situation where I won't even call it partisanship or tribalism. Mm-hmm. I'll say that not telling the truth. We've seen bias, we have seen censorship, and we ask the question, is there censorship in the polling?
Right.
Have we gotten to the point where everything is tainted?
Right.
Now, I don't know that for a fact, but if he's going to make that argument, I can make the argument that things have been done that have been never done before when it comes to censoring what the truth is.
Well, I mean, if we're seeing that across the board, from the Department of Justice, lawfare, the way that they treated it, and they talk about misinformation and everything else on those scales, then why wouldn't a pollster do it? I can't prove that any particular pollster is doing that. I'm just saying that I don't trust anything in that regard.
Well, I would use that as an argument to him, which is, again, pretty abstract, because our point would be abstract, but so would theirs.
Exactly.
Because you're like, well, wait a minute.
I don't know why his would apply and ours wouldn't.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, when you see people like Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen, it comes right out. He goes, no, they're not polling correctly.
Right.
Mitchell's making the case it is political, like I've never seen before. I've never seen that from a pollster calling out other pollsters.
Right.
And so is he just doing that to get his own credibility? Now, they were one of the top 4 pollsters of 2020. And you want to get business.
Which would be a huge risk.
Right. But
for
you want
him.
Right, you want to get business. Right, so if you're calling out the other pollsters and you end up being wrong, that's going to bite you in the butt.
That destroys your credibility.
Yeah.
And I just don't, I don't trust any. I don't trust a lot of these pollsters. But what we've always looked at, and we're looking at now, is the movement. And across all the pollsters, the movement has been in Trump's favor.
Wouldn't that be the next statement I would ask Mr.
Exactly.
Entel? It's like, all right, I can understand that. Okay, but the point is, have you seen where this movement is taking place?
Right.
Actually, in the polls where we can see it.
Right.
And it's almost every pollster, if you look at it, because the Real Clear Politics average keeps moving and moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. Only in Trump's direction.
Right.
Was that the case in all those other years?
Right.
And is polling more sophisticated today? Can you actually make a comparison of polling today compared to 30 years ago or 50 years ago?
And again, he's a data analyst. He knows these answers.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Let us talk to Teresa in Phoenix. Teresa, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Hi, Teresa.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much. I was listening to your comments about how Biden wanted Harris to win and his reasons, and I thought to myself, I know what, I want her to lose. And then that's why I decided to call.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my reasons that I want her to lose is restorative justice. And if there's any undecideds out there, I'm hoping I can sway them. So restorative justice is I don't know if you know what restorative justice is. I think when I explain it, you'll know.
Go ahead.
Nobody's using those terms. Nobody's using those terms, and that's why we need to start using the phrases that the Dems are using. And I'm a Dem, and I'm not into the whole progressive world. So restorative justice is the Trojan horse that's changing society right in front of us. It's in the criminal justice system, and it's in the education system. And I just resigned from being a teacher because of it. So restorative justice is based on repairing harm. So there used to be zero tolerance laws, zero tolerance for guns and drugs in schools and safe and gun-free school zones. But nowadays, if children do things and then they're saying, why did you do that? Let me help you. And in some cases in my school district, these are kids who were assaulting other kids on campus, bringing weapons to school. There's this reason why you're doing that. Let's work on the reason. Meanwhile, there's like the victim and, the community. In the criminal justice system, you can steal X amount of items below an amount or have X amount of drugs and not go to jail. And the Dems, the progressive Dems, are very sneaky. I'm Hispanic, and it sounds good. Nobody wants to be called a racist. So when you're restoring justice, people are saying, oh, I better help the minorities because we don't want to label them and we don't want to punish them and we want to give them an opportunity. Meanwhile, they're getting away with things. So a few weeks ago, we had 2 Glocks on my campus with an extended clip and a switch to make them an automatic. No lockdown. No lockdown because they didn't want the parents to know.
Wow.
And I knew because somebody told me that. So
yeah, I understand the point that you're saying.
Yeah, we do.
We've got to reverse.
Yeah.
It's sort of reverse restorative justice, though.
Exactly.
Is what you're looking at. We'll talk more coming up.
Thank you, Teresa.
To democracy if you don't download our app, Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Great point by our last caller, I think, where she said she's voting for Trump. She's a Democrat voting for Trump because of restorative justice. Right. Not that she wants restorative justice. I want to make clear, because I might have confused people with my last statement. That's a reason that she's voting for Trump, and you're saying, oh, so he can restore justice? No, what she's trying to make the point of is the liberals that came up with the term restorative justice.
Right.
Which is the fact that, okay, we've got crime out there. Well, instead of solving the problem of crime, let us coddle to the criminals out there, because in essence the criminals are victims too. Mm-hmm. And so we need reading, this goes back to a couple of years ago from the First Step Alliance, restorative justice, breaking the cycle of crime. Restorative justice is a more empathetic and comprehensive approach to addressing criminal behavior when compared to the traditional justice model. So as she was talking about, she's resigned as being a teacher in Arizona because of this.
Yeah.
Kids had guns. Okay, there's no lockdowns because we don't need to demonize anybody who's bad. Restorative justice is to fund the police.
Right. Yeah.
Because it doesn't work in the real world. As she said, restorative justice is, okay, you can steal up to $1,000 and you're not going to be punished. We're not going to go after you.
Exactly.
And so, as she said, as a Democrat, that's why she cannot vote. Understand, though, that restorative justice is part of what we've talked about before, which is the victim-oppressor relationship.
Yeah.
That everybody becomes a victim, even the criminal becomes a victim, and then the oppressor becomes those that are trying to actually help victims.
Yeah.
Which would be law enforcement.
Right.
Yeah. Great point.
Well, and thank you, Teresa, for the call. I can't imagine having to end your career, deciding to end your career to resign as a teacher. We have talked about this over the years, that more and more teachers have felt beyond frustrated because they felt like they had no authority in a place where they should have authority, but the agenda gets the authority, and you don't get a say-so over that. And you watch it where the criminal then gets the deference, is given deference in every single case, and then a system that is created, that is set up that way with an entire system of policies that caters to making it easier for criminals to go out and do what they do. And people are tired of it. People are screaming because, I pointed out all of the things combined that are broken right now are things that go to our fundamental core of feeling safe in our own country, feeling safe in our own home, feeling safe in our own neighborhood, feeling secure when it comes to buying power. Inflation has depleted your buying power and you're underwater. Crime is on the rise and the criminals given deference as a result of policies put into place, and you know that crime is going to continue to rise. You don't feel safe in your own neighborhood or your own home. These are things that go to the very core of our survival instincts, and they're very unsettling and disconcerting. That is something that the left doesn't see. Then the broken border. You can look at that and say, well, and then how many other criminals are coming across the border and or terrorists? Those are the things, again, this is the reality of where we are. We are not in any kind of speculative mode. We are not in the abstract any longer politically. It is the reality right now that people face every single day. Teresa, just one more example. She had to resign because deference was given to the criminal. And let's keep that quiet, would you? This is who the left is, and it's what they're turning our country into. And these are choices, as we have said, that have been made over and over and over again that get us to this point. We all have the power, as a collective, we have the power to change this. We have a power to we can make other decisions. We can say, no, we're not going down this road. Yes, we're going to restore the buying power. We're not going to let these ridiculous mandates come in from the whole climate agenda and the spending that's been going on as a result of the overreaction to COVID destroy our buying power. We're going to come in and restore the buying power by going after what we have, mining materials in the ground that we have as a nation, and we're going to give deference to law and order, not the criminal, and we're going to secure our border.
I liked how you brought up the restorative justice and applied it to illegal immigration, because you've heard it from the activists out there. Look, America, you've had it too good to begin with.
Right.
And other people need to have it good, as if we should be guilty for the things that we have done in this country.
Right.
And so the restorative justice is to allow mass illegal immigration. Well, we know that's not the case.
Right.
We know the whole concept of illegal immigration was Democrats thought that they could win elections for the rest of their lives if they allowed enough illegal immigration into this country. We know it. I mean, Roy Teixeira talked about it in 2002 with the demographic shift, because the whole thing of the demographic shift from Roy Teixeira was that, when he wrote about that in 2002, was the fact that the demographic change in this country, and where was the huge demographic change coming from? Was it coming from births, or was it coming from illegal immigration, when you're talking about tens of millions of people coming into this country over a period of years? And as we know, since Biden's been in office, what is it? 15, 20 million? Nobody knows anywhere. What are the gotaways? Who knows? I saw a story yesterday. The allegation is they've been undercounting the gotaways.
Yeah.
That it's about 25% undercounted.
Right.
And the entire goal, and we know it. And when they were talking about back in in 2015 and 2016, especially I remember in the summer of 2016 when the polls for Trump weren't looking too good, and they said, well, you had the left constantly saying the Republicans may never win a presidential election again based on the demographic shift.
Right. Yeah.
Now, where was the demographic shift coming from? Now, and if you brought that up, it would be like, you're advocating the replacement theory, and that's completely racist and bigoted to do so.
Yeah.
Xenophobic, racist, bigoted, whatever ism you can throw in there. Yet that's what they were actually depending on. So the whole restorative justice, well, everybody is a victim. Everybody is a victim if you've been held to stand. And think about this: if you've been held to standards, this goes to the same with testing. You know, this goes to the whole concept.
Yeah.
Think about this: the whole concept of participation trophies.
Mm-hmm.
No. We can't have winners. We can't have losers.
Right.
If we have losers in the society, then you're oppressing somebody. You're throwing negative ideas at them that they're not a winner. Well, they're not.
Right. They didn't win.
They're not. Deal with it.
Right.
You don't win everything. The whole thing is not to accept failure. It's to learn from failure.
Exactly.
In this world.
Right.
And but that whole concept, as we know, that concept of failure, that concept of accountability, that concept of individuality, and you're responsible, and autonomy. If you do something and you do it well, you should get credit for it. If you do bad and fail, you should take responsibility for it, learn from it, and improve. Remember, what does the left say that is? That's white supremacy.
Right. Yeah.
And so the restorative justice is, okay, we have to lower the standards for everybody.
Well, and also it fits their agenda on indoctrination, because we can't have people getting smart and learning from failure. We can't have people actually getting out of a public school system with a real education on what failure means and how to overcome failure. We can't have that, because by the time then they get to be adults and they are voting, then they're not going to need a party that only wants to coddle them from cradle to grave.
I've said it before. The greatest motivator in my life has been fear.
Oh, yeah. By far.
Has been fear.
By far.
And overcoming that fear and moving forward, that's, to me, so important for making a quality of life. It builds everything inside of you. It isn't fake.
Right.
You overcame something. You failed and you said, I don't care. I'm still going to stick to it. I don't care. I don't care.
Right.
I'm going to stick to it. I'm not going to be embarrassed by failure. I understand people fail. I'm not going to be afraid to climb the next mountain. Failure is a part of life, and it's what teaches us the greatest lessons to move forward. And then when you move forward, when you get to be our age, you can look back and you can be proud and say, I accomplished these things, not from ego, but from hard work.
Right.
And so many of our listeners right now, you know it, and you know it, and you understand the small. A lot of people, especially if you're younger, are taking those smaller steps. But even those smaller steps are incredibly important. You go, okay, I got that one. All right, now that I got that thing, then I can get to the next one.
Well, and that's the thing, is that, the left wants you to have something simply because you exist. And it's never been that way. Everything has to be earned. One way or the other, it has to be earned. There's a price for everything.
So great call.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa.
Yep. 866-98-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Nikki Haley out there promoting Trump.
Yeah.
Everybody's everybody's coming together now. We'll get to that. Plus, we'll get to the FBI story, the whistleblower story. I mean, we'll talk more about it, I'm sure, after the election. And what I wonder is, now that the whistleblowers have come out and said, look, they knew that Comey was already investigating early on, before any of the other stuff. He was going after Trump.
Right.
And the other story that they all knew. They all knew. They knew when they got the laptop in December of 2019. They knew it was Joe Biden's.
Right. They knew it right away.
Right. They allowed the lie to continue, yet they knew it. And that comes from the FBI whistleblowers, which means FBI employees. That everything that they have said so far has been true.
Right.
Nobody has been able to debunk anything that the whistleblowers, was it Gary Shapley and is it Joseph Ziegler, I think it is? They came forward on that. So we'll have more of that. Plus, really interesting what the last couple of days of the campaign are going to be. You've got the unity thing, which was destroyed by Biden yesterday for the Democrats. But Trump out there talking about unity. They had the shadow senator from Puerto Rico out there at one of the Trump campaign sites yesterday with Trump, endorsing Trump. Wow.
Yeah, again, the boomerangs they keep throwing. You would think they'd stop throwing them.
That's a great is 2024 the year of the Democrat political boomerang?
It really is. Everything they're throwing. Sorry, you would think they would learn, but there's no hope for them. There's no way they're going to learn if they haven't learned by now. They're just going to keep throwing these things that come back. And the problem is the reality. They're still acting as if the name calling is going to get them anywhere. It did.
Yeah,
it worked for them in the past.
Yep.
And it tells you, again, that they also have nowhere else to go on the issues. If they thought they could win, then that would have been the case from day one. But, of course, they can't do that. So they go back to the name calling. They go back to the trying to label Trump as a fascist. And, this has got to be the most frustrating for them if you think about how this is all played out. Remember, when we've been saying they thought they had won the White House forever in the Obama years. They thought that all the way up to 2016, in fact, they were still saying that. Well, they thought they were able to label Trump forever as Hitler, fascist, a criminal, and all of these things. And all of it has failed. And you're at the point right now where the toxicity is all but gone. All but gone. You've got Democrats running as senators who are using his name in their ads to align themselves with him. Wow.
Every time I hear that, I think, am I on drugs?
Exactly.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. We are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Well. Two stories out there yesterday that we have to mention and see what happens, especially if the Republicans keep the House, how these investigations will go. The House Judiciary Committee is examining a whistleblower report that the FBI targeted Trump soon after he announced his presidential campaign in June of 2015. An off-the-books operation ordered by FBI Director James Comey that predated the crossfire hurricane operation. An FBI agent involved in the probe revealed the off-the-books criminal investigation on Tuesday in a protected disclosure sent to the House Judiciary Committee. The whistleblower disclosure said 2 female FBI undercover agents infiltrated Mr. Trump's 2016 campaign at high levels. This is in 2015 now. They're saying the 2016 campaign, but it was in 2015. And were directed to act as, quote, honeypots, end of quote, while traveling with Mr. Trump and his campaign staff on the trail. In case you don't know what a honeypot is, a honeypot agent or spy, a honeypot is a covert agent, undercover, usually female, who creates a romantic or sexual relationship with a target to gain intelligence or other information. The practice is also called a honey trap. According to the disclosure, which the Washington Times reviewed, this is from the Washington Times, the investigation differed from the later Crossfire hurricane counterintelligence operation targeting Russia collusion, that there was none. It said the early off-the-books probe was a criminal investigation targeting Mr. Trump and his 2016 presidential campaign staff. The agent personally knew that Comey ordered an FBI investigation against Trump and that Mr. Comey personally directed it, according to the disclosure. The off-the-books investigation did not appear to target a specific crime, but was more of what agents would describe as a fishing expedition to find something incriminating about Mr. Trump. The Times has reached out to the FBI and Mr. Comey for comment. A House Judiciary Committee, and they have not responded yet, a House Judiciary Committee spokesperson said the committee received the whistleblower allegations and plans to look at them. The whistleblower said the undercover operation was hidden from the Justice Department Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, who investigated misconduct in the Bureau's probe of the Trump campaign. The whistleblower disclosure also said the secret investigation may indicate institutional bias against Mr. Trump, though it doesn't appear that any information about this investigation was turned over to Trump's criminal defense counsels. Former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker said the report, if true, is a booming, egregious violation of the rules governing the Attorney General and the FBI. It's an unpredicated infiltration of a presidential campaign, he told the Times. It's sensitive to the point where it would have to be approved by the Attorney General and would have to be predicated. And in this case, I'm not hearing any predication. It would have to be on the books anyway, though, regardless. The FBI doesn't put things off the books.
Right.
Intelligence agencies may, but the FBI, it may be secret. The investigation may be secret, but it's on the books. Mr. Trump launched his first presidential campaign on June 16, 2015, at Trump Tower, about a year before the FBI opened the Crossfire hurricane investigation into whether members of the Trump campaign coordinated with the Russian government. The FBI investigation said a Justice Department special counsel probe did not find any evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, as we know. Wow.
Well, all right.
Wow,
If is true. This would jive with, remember the allegations. Okay, kids, we're going to jump in the Wayback Machine here. Remember the allegations that came out. And remember who all was announcing they were running. This would have been, again, in 2015. They were, remember the list of Republicans and the concern that, all right, hold on a second. Why are all of these, the Republican candidates, why would they be targeted? Well, it would be the opposition. When you started getting into 2016, when you started getting into the Russian collusion thing, you had a handful of people saying, well, we believe some of this stuff goes back to 2015 or even before.
Yep.
This would jive with that if true. And who was it? Rand Paul, who believed he was targeted, that they were looking into. And, the idea is the fishing expedition. Well, what you're doing then is weaponizing the Department of Justice in a way that is far beyond Oppo research.
This is J. Edgar Hoover stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it off the books where it is in no it's in no system
exactly
of the FBI.
Right.
You're doing it completely covert.
Right.
Where there's nothing that exists in the normal files.
Right.
And it takes a whistleblower that knew about it to come out and do it. The reason that the reason this isn't done is because of J. Edgar Hoover, which many people believed tried, would investigate politicians, would do fishing, fishing expeditions on politicians and then use it as blackmail.
Right. Well, we know the whole Mueller assignment was a fishing expedition.
Yeah.
It was almost written verbatim to sound like, hey, see if there's something here. Go on out. And by the way, anything else that you can find along the way, throw that in too. I mean, the entire assignment of the special counsel, Robert Mueller, was a fishing expedition. So it's no surprise at all. By the way, Mueller, at one time, years before that, was FBI director. And now with James Comey, and we know how he behaves. Look, we talked about it, we mentioned it yesterday, but what did he say when he was testifying, when he was talking about, I don't know if that was testimony or an interview, when he was talking about sending top agents to the White House to talk to Michael Flynn. Well, they didn't know what they were supposed to do. This was a rookie administration, incoming administration. They didn't know they should have sent us to White House counsel first. They let us in the door and let us talk, let our top agents, one of them Peter Strzok, sit down with Michael Flynn. He was proud of that when James Comey revealed that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he revealed it.
So much for a higher loyalty.
Yeah, exactly. A higher loyalty to the Democratic Party.
Okay. So that was one story that came out yesterday. The other story is you had Catherine Herridge come out with the story that the IRS whistleblowers say the FBI, IRS, and Justice Department knew immediately that the Hunter Biden laptop was real in late 2019.
Mm-hmm.
They got it, remember, in late 2019 is when they got the laptop. They knew it.
Right.
And that there was no basis for the statement from 51 former intelligence officials that the laptop had the classic earmarks of Russia disinformation.
Mm-hmm.
None of it. They knew. Here's part of that interview with Catherine Herridge with Agent, I think it's Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler. I believe it starts out with Joseph Ziegler here. Here we go.
In our investigation, we knew that the laptop was real. DOJ knew that the laptop was real.
FBI knew the laptop was real.
Yes.
Based on the notes of this October 2020 meeting, the FBI and IRS, when did they know the laptop was real?
It was many months before October 2020. We were confirming certain aspects of it that it was real and legitimate as far back as late 2019.
Why was the Hunter Biden laptop reporting suppressed in October of 2020?
There was various reporting of people saying that it's potentially Russian disinformation. And one of those people is the current Secretary of State. His name was in a lot of the emails that were turned over to the House Ways and Means Committee that were on Hunter Biden's laptop.
I mean, it was clear that it was a campaign to discredit that information before an election. Ultimately, I guess you can conclude that it was for the purpose of affecting that election.
When you heard dozens of former intelligence officials say the laptop had the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, you knew that was false.
Yeah, and I mean, as a special agent, as a criminal investigator, and what I know, what I do, I don't know how they could have come to that conclusion regarding this laptop.
It was misinformation to try to make something else look like misinformation.
There you go.
Yep. Look, I think many of us already knew that. We in our minds, we'd already come to that conclusion. They knew. You know, that whole thing of the, dozens of former intel agents and officials signing on that letter. Oh, this sure seems like Russian disinformation. Nope. It seems like a campaign to cover up something that we all know is true. Miranda Devine, by the way, Trump, in an interview recently, mentioned the whole laptop from hell thing. I think it was the Rogan interview. He said laptop from hell. It was like, when Miranda Devine wrote that and did all that work, you're talking about and look at the hit piece they tried to do. Look at not just a hit piece. These were actions they took, and social media at the time took against the New York Post. Look at what they're willing to do. They will shut you down. And it doesn't matter if you're on the Trump side or on their side. If you get in your way, we're going to weaponize everything we can. Social media, your presence everywhere. We will shut you down. You want to run for president? Yeah, good luck with that. We'll start our own off-the-books investigation, fishing expedition to find something on you. Remember Trump saying they bugged the phones in Trump Tower? They bugged the phones, and everybody was laughing at him and mocking him, and it turned out they bugged the phones at Trump Tower?
Yeah. I remember every time they said, they've spied against me, that was the other thing.
Yeah.
No, they did. No, they did. See, you're making it up. Nope. This is true. That's not the case.
Yep.
And apparently, in order to get into the whistleblower system, you have to be an FBI agent.
Yep.
So we know that this whistleblower, has come forward in the FBI. It's not your average Joe just can't fake that he's a member of the FBI and go through the whistleblower process. It has to be actual FBI whistleblower. So you have a whistleblower coming from the FBI on this.
Right.
I wonder if it's one of the covert agents. Just asking the question. And think about this. If it was an off the cuff, if all of it's true from the whistleblower, there was no specific crime. They were going on a fishing expedition and they were sending in women covert agents in an attempt to create a romantic affair with people in the Trump campaign in order to get information.
Right.
That's J. Edgar Hoover stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is. Well, and we wondered, because we said during the Mueller fishing expedition, we said, well, if Mueller doesn't go all the way back to the years, remember the outgoing, and we learned this subsequently, the outgoing Obama administration showed up to the secret court and said, hey, all those things where you told us to quit violating people's rights, we didn't actually adhere to that. Our bad.
Yeah.
And that was a mea culpa in the fall of 2016, essentially saying, yeah, sorry, we didn't do that. We never did that. And we said, okay, if that's the case, then you have to look back. And that goes back to the work of John Solomon and others.
That came out in April of 17, their report.
Right, that report. And it had court papers, actually, had documents to back it up. But we said, all right, now apply that to the whole Mueller thing. When Mueller became the special prosecutor, if he doesn't go all the way back to 2011, to the Obama years, then something's going to be wrong. You have to go back to the beginning. How long was this going on? Because I have to wonder, was this going on before 2015, if this is true? I have to believe it was. They didn't just come up with this on a whim. I have to believe it had been going on for a while. That's why they felt comfortable in doing it in the first place.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Drivers must always be prepared for a roadside inspection. This means drivers should always have their personal, vehicle, and company credentials organized and ready, and having any shipment paperwork such as bills of lading or hazardous material shipment emergency response information organized and ready for the inspection official. Just an FYI, the top 2 violations written against drivers every year, as well as during Operation Road Check, are log general form and manner and log not current. Both are completely avoidable if the driver keeps the log accurate, compliant, and current at all times. Having the vehicle ready for inspection involves the driver conducting daily inspections and making sure any problems that are discovered are immediately corrected. Vehicle readiness also requires the company to make sure that the vehicle is current on all scheduled maintenance and that the maintenance schedule is adequate. This will make sure the driver is being given a sound vehicle to start with. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, just going through X here, and saw this post from Eric Erickson. Biden did not utter a possessive noun. Some kid who thinks a single person can identify as they wrote up a transcript after Biden spoke and added the apostrophe as damage control for the media to spin it. The use of a possessive case makes no sense in the sentence. He's going through point by point. Just like some kid who thinks a single person can identify as they. It's like, oh, okay, so apostrophes don't mean anything.
Right.
It was a joke that was, I think, a little sarcasm in there. But my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
what a day.
Well, they've become the pathetic excuse machine. That's what the Democrats have become. And like you said, when you woke up, it's like, all right, the first thing that hit your mind is the quote from Obama. Never underestimate the ability of Joe Biden to F things up. Well, and here you go again.
That was one of the first posts I saw on X from one of our listeners.
Okay.
And when I went,
well, yeah.
And then I thought, what happened? Did something happen, or is that just a generic comment?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
because I'm thinking, well, what happened? Because I'd gone to sleep early yesterday.
Right.
I'm like, what? Okay, what is this?
Well,
and it's like Biden, and then I just saw, I didn't get the full story. I just saw on X, Biden says that half of the country is garbage. I'm like, okay, this is going to be good.
Yeah,
and it
exactly. It was.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app. Download it now, and you can listen to our show when and where you choose. That's right.
Thank you.
After our show's over, Ron will make sure that the podcast is up a few minutes after the show's over, and it's our show.
It's never-ending pain.
You can listen during the day. You know, I'd seen the Elon Musk tweet earlier that said, rumor is that Harris is pulling her money out of North Carolina and moving it to Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, rumor, what does that mean? Then I saw Mark Mitchell's post from Rasmussen from 2 hours ago. And it was like a tweet from the Virginia Project Someone explain why Harris is pulling millions from North Carolina if she's really basically tied, as the polls claim. Then Mark Mitchell responds, I can. And then he puts another post out. Sometimes, no matter how you tweak them, the polls don't budge. Like the one I just finished that has Trump up big in Georgia. So, and the poll isn't there yet. It's interesting because you had mentioned, was it Harry, is it Entel from CNN?
Enton.
Enton, who, and he does a lot of the polling stuff, and he said there's never been, 3 elections in a row where they've underpolled
a party.
Underpolled a party. And so that is an idea that they've corrected the polling, and the fact is that it means that probably Trump is being overpolled. That was the point he was trying to make. And we hit in a variety of different directions. I don't want to go and just repeat that. But I saw this was really interesting. Went back to all the way back to 1980. And if you remember, some of the polls in early October showed that Jimmy Carter was beating Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And I went and did some research. I found an article from Time Magazine. Wow. Looking back at the election from December 1st, 1980.
Wow.
Where was I then? Wow, I know where I was.
Yeah.
I was working at Riley Gear in North Tonawanda, New York.
All right.
On my internal grinder.
Yeah, all right.
That's what I was doing. Reagan's, just a couple of sentences here, just to put some perspective into it, because I do, I view, when I said this a couple of weeks ago, I said, my God, we don't make predictions of who's going to win. There's too many variables. We look at the polls and tell you what the polls are saying and where the polls are leading, and the polls right now are giving every indication that Donald Trump will win. But you can look at a campaign and say it's horrible. And I said the other day, I said, wow, this campaign is worse than Mondale Ferraro, excuse me.
Right.
Ferraro. It's worse than that. And that's when, Reagan just dominated in the Electoral College then.
Yeah.
But when I was looking at a story about that a couple of weeks ago, and it just mentioned that, Jimmy Carter was actually up. A month before, there were many polls showing Jimmy Carter was up against Reagan. And this says Reagan's landslide challenges the pulse taker profession. For weeks before the presidential election, the gurus of public opinion polling were nearly unanimous in their findings. In survey after survey, they agreed that the coming choice between President Jimmy Carter and challenger Ronald Reagan was too close to call. A few points at most, they said, separated the two major contenders. But when the votes were counted, the former California governor had defeated Carter by a margin of 51% to 41% in the popular vote, a rout in U.S. presidential races. In the Electoral College, the Reagan victory was 10-1 avalanche that left the president holding only 6 states and the District of Columbia. After being so right for so long about presidential elections, the pollsters' findings had closely agreed with the voting results for the most of the past 30 years. How could the surveys have been so wrong? The question is far more than technical. The spreading use of polls by the press and television has an important, if unmeasurable, effect on how voters perceive the candidates and the campaign, creating a different kind of effect. The more a candidate rises in the polls, the more voters seem to take him seriously. With such responsibilities thrust on them, the pollsters have a lot to answer for, and they know it. Their problems with Carter-Reagan race have touched off the most skeptical examination of public opinion polling since 1948, when the pollsters made Thomas Dewey a sure winner over Harry Truman. We all know the picture, don't we?
Yeah. Right.
Dewey wins, right?
Right, yeah.
In response, the experts have been explaining, qualifying, clarifying, and rationalizing. Now, I think polling is a lot more sophisticated even than it was in 1980.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's the thing that you look at here, how far the polls can be, off. And to make the case that they're under-polling Harris.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at everything here, because it's not just the polling, it's the candidates out there. You know, I am old enough to remember the Reagan-Carter election.
Mm-hmm.
And people didn't, there was a negative towards Carter.
Yeah, right.
His, what do they call the speech that he gave?
Malay's speech?
Yeah, the Malay speech. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I love the movie Miracle
Mm-hmm.
about the U.S. Olympic hockey team. They have in it a couple of times the Malay speech. I hated that speech back then.
Yeah, right.
I hated it. Because what he did, Carter did, was what Democrats are doing right now, blaming the American people.
Yeah.
That was maybe one similarity, but people did not. There was not a distrust. They viewed, it wasn't that Carter created the problems. Even though inflation was bad, Carter didn't create it. Inflation existed before Carter. It was in there for a number of years, as we know. That was 10 years of inflation.
Right.
And so Carter was not viewed as the cause of the problems. Carter was viewed, in my opinion, looking back then, Carter was viewed as being not competent enough to solve the problems.
And also, I would say he stopped short of actually recognizing the problems.
Okay.
You know,
yes.
yeah,
Okay. I can say that.
You
Yes.
have to acknowledge the problem in order to get a solution. So I guess
Right.
the two really go hand in hand. If you don't have this solution, then you really don't know how it all works, which is not recognizing what's going on. But it seemed, and I was a kid. I wasn't even a voting age, and I knew that. He was clueless.
And that's how it came out. People didn't dislike him.
Right.
Just like they don't today.
Mm-hmm.
And so and so when I look at it, there are differences though. You have a campaign here which can't even decide where the hell they stand on any of the issues. And the difference between even back then and now is the fact that all the major issues that Americans care about now have hit the wall of reality. Nothing is hypothetical anymore, as we've stated. It's not, well, if we do this, this will happen. Well, no,
Right.
if you did this, this happened.
Right.
Illegal immigration now. Look, when you've got, and Adams, I'll find that audio cut again. Adams was out there again, basically telling the press, we've got problems. Stop asking me the stupid questions about whether Trump is Hitler or a fascist.
Right.
We've got major problems out there
Right.
that America cares about. This is stupid. And they're obsessed with it, when clearly anyone knows that what Hitler did, we've seen Trump in office. That's like saying my Buffalo Bills have won 50 Super Bowls and sticking with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's everyone knows it's not true. And the absurdity of yesterday, when we were looking at the CNN panel with Scott Jennings, and it was humorous. You could see the smirk on his face. He was smiling. He's like, oh my God, these people are digging a bigger hole.
Right.
When he said, no, I believe that Biden does believe that, and Harris does believe it. And they were, no. They were going crazy about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but wait a minute. If it's a Nazi, as Victor Davis Hansen said, we played that audio cut earlier, rallies are about the people. The people come to rallies. If you're saying it's a Nazi rally and the leader is a Nazi, then the people that are there are Nazis. Why are you afraid to call them garbage?
Right.
And then what you're saying is they're not Nazis, because if they were Nazis, wouldn't they be garbage? And wouldn't you promote the fact that, well, of course they're garbage, because they went to it. They all support the Nazi rally. They support the Nazi candidate and the Nazi rallies. And so it was just the campaign itself, when I try to compare it back then, it's so incredibly weak.
Yeah.
I've never seen a campaign this bad before. And if they win, well, then God help this country.
Look, I've been saying for a long time, and it just gets truer and truer and more solid the closer we get, that we're at this crossroads, and it sounds almost hackish to say it, because it sounds cliche to say, well, we're at this election we're at this crossroads, and we must. I full on, and you and I don't engage in this kind of hyperbole, but I full on believe that if we don't correct everything that's wrong, if we don't make a decision to start moving in the other direction, this would be the voters saying we want to correct everything that's broken. That if we don't do that, then there won't be a will. I don't see any reason why there would be the will to do that in the future. And we're on this path probably for my lifetime and for who knows how long. At some point, the pendulum has to go the other way, you would think, but the question is, has it gone all the way to the left yet? And we'll find out next week, maybe.
You know, for me, I look at it and say, here's what you have. You come to your own conclusion about how important the election is. The Democrats have made it clear. They wish to severely limit the First Amendment, which means they want to change the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
They want to limit it. They want the government to be able to censor. They want the government to be able to punish people for free speech. We know this because Hillary and Biden have said it.
Yeah.
So we know that's where they wish to go as a party. We know they don't want the Electoral College anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know they want to make the Supreme Court a political arm of the three branches of government by having it so whoever gets power can just appoint more judges that agree with them.
Right.
We know they don't believe in the Electoral College. They don't want representation for all states. They don't want a bicameral legislature, which is having a Senate, because they believe it should be a popular vote wins all everywhere, every time, which then again, you don't have a representation from different states. How do you think the country was formed? Taxation without representation. They want to go right back to that. They believe in the racism of identity politics, judging people by groups and not individuals. How do I know? They say it. It's not me accusing them of something they haven't said. They've said it. They know it.
Yep.
And then you've got the radical misogynist transgender movement, which is pure insanity, which shows you if they believe in these insane things, where will they take this government? We've never had as radical of an administration and a party with what they believe as we've had now in the United States. It just hasn't existed.
No. And again, that's where we are. I mean, you would think that the pendulum is about at that end, then it would start swinging the other way. I hope it does.
And then add on the weaponization of government.
Yeah.
And going after your political enemies, attempting to be a banana republic.
Yeah, those other small things, right?
Small. Yeah, those other side issues.
Insignificant things.
Well, they're insignificant because they're only going after Trump.
Yeah, right. It's not going to be about me or parents or anything else. Yeah.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley. I'm Gary McNamara. I'm just having the best time reading X tonight, the different post. Mary Catherine Ham. You ready for this?
All right.
He didn't say it. Oh, yeah, he said it, but it's not a big deal. I mean, he said it, but his brain doesn't work. Yeah, he said it, and it's good he said it because it's good to call garbage people what they are, garbage. Well, he said it. It's just the truth, and people are pouncing. People pouncing are the problem, and also, misinformation.
She's great.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.